Good morning. Welcome back to the 30 something podcast.
Hi guys.
Hope you've all had a good week.
Yes, I can't believe this week has gone so crazy. But before we start, please like, comment and subscribe. This is our 4th podcast now, and currently we have 7 subscribers, which 7 is my lucky number.
Aww.
Yeah, so I feel good about this.
Positive vibes.
But we want double figures. So,
of course, yeah.
So if you could like, comment and subscribe, that'd be amazing.
Be amazing, yeah. And get us on social media as well. We've got TikTok and we've got Instagram.
Yeah. So yeah, let's dive into this week's episode.
Which is a little delve into your hosts. So Hannah and I are going to be speaking about our family life dynamics, love life, love languages, highs, lows, quirks, qualities, things we want to pass on to future generations and things like that.
If I remember all that.
We'll get by. We'll get by. We should have made some notes, shouldn't we?
But yeah, we're going to basically talk all about us. And yeah, how was your week?
My week, oh gosh. Disclaimer, guys. I actually watched the second podcast at home last week. And there's a section, if you guys haven't watched it, where I speak about my current job role, and I literally said on camera, I said, I hate all 8 hours of the day that I am at work. And what I think watching it as like the third person, you know, watching myself speak about it, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, and I was like, I cannot do this anymore.
She's like, I am out of there.
I'm out of here. I literally just I didn't have a mental breakdown. I actually held it together very well. But I made a very executive decision to, drum roll, hand in my notice without a backup job. So,
You know what? I'm very proud of you.
I think I just hit a point and I just thought, you know what, I've turned into the girl that I never wanted to be. I never ever thought I'd stay somewhere, which made me unhappy. But you know, I've spoken to my close ones, my loved ones, and they get it. So I handed in my notice and I'll be finished next Monday, which I am really happy about, but also very scared for.
Isn't it crazy, right?
Things, but it's fine.
No, things are going to be fine. But isn't it crazy that you said then, I had to speak to my loved ones and whatever, and everyone supports me and everyone's fine, over a job you fucking hated?
Yeah, I know.
Like, why the UK is so fucked up. I mean, I don't know if it's the same everywhere else, but why are we all in jobs? I'm not saying all of us. I mean, there are some that are so lucky and love their jobs, but there are a lot of people that are just in jobs they absolutely hate, but that is what we just have to put up with, because financially we have to support ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's a fucking joke, if you ask me. We only get one life. Do you know what I mean? Why are we in these jobs that we just don't like? So I'm so proud of you. And
well, thank you.
Cheers to you. Yeah.
Cheers to me and having no job.
This coffee, by the way, I need this so much right now.
I know. Well, I've drank more than half of mine before we even started filming, because Lord knows I needed it. So yeah, tell me about your week.
My week's just been disastrous.
Oh gosh.
My week has been disastrous. Is that disastrous?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, Ziggy, bless him, has been so ill. And we've been in hospital 3 times. And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, 3 times. And the first time he was like fine in himself. So we were kind of in and out within 2 hours. The second time, that day, I actually started vlogging that day, because I do have my own YouTube channel which has 2 videos on from over a year ago. Oops. So I was vlogging that day, and he just, as soon as he woke up, he was just not himself. He actually didn't want to wake up. He was just so ill. So I took him back to the hospital, and they gave him antibiotics and whatever, and it was just a nightmare. But you know, when you're in, I'm sure everyone can relate, when you go to A&E and it's packed in there, and you're clicking on to everyone so you know what number you are in the queue. You know, so you're watching, you're there for ages, you're watching as everyone gets up, and you're like, okay, no, I'm 5 left. I was basically doing that, and it got down to the one person before me, and he went, and then they called someone else, and I was like, no, I have been here before them, because I've been sat here for 4 hours. I know exactly who's in this room, and I know exactly what position I am in front of the queue.
Yeah.
And so Kev was like, no, it's fine, just leave it. So I left it, and then someone else got called. I was like, absolutely not.
No.
Okay, I've been here for 4.5 hours.
At
I'm not
this
waiting
point,
any
yeah.
longer. So
Oh,
I got
gosh.
up and I said, I think we've been missed off the list. And they apologised, and basically they picked up our file to call us next, and then put it down and picked the next person up. Like, put it down because they were busy or whatever, and then ended up picking the next person up. So we could have waited there.
All night
All
before
night.
they noticed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well done for saying something, because I'm such a people pleaser. I'm the type of person like, oh, just wait, they'll call me eventually. And I would have been there till 9 a.m.
I was
the
there for
next
too
day.
long, and I wanted to go home, and I was like, no. Because I don't know when the last time you went to A&E was, but if anyone's been to A&E with their kids, you know exactly what number you are in the queue.
Yeah.
And then we had to end up in Alder Hey yesterday, but that wasn't too bad. That was 2 hours, so
Okay. And how's Ziggy now?
he's fine. He's like a different child. He's like a different child, really.
In hospital yesterday and absolutely fine today.
Yeah.
Love that. But I'm glad he's better.
Thank you.
But that sounds like a whirlwind of a week. So I bet you did barely anything for yourself last week.
I did hardly anything. I'm so behind on everything. I've had no sleep. But I think when you're a mum, and mums watching this will know, like, your week can just take a turn like that.
Yeah. And you have to do everything for your, for your child. You can't, it's not something you can put on the back burner. You've just got to do it.
Yeah. So basically the doctor said he's just going to have a continuous cough throughout winter, because that's just kids.
Aww.
So, yay.
So, yay. But I'm glad he's better, and fingers crossed no more hospital appointments this week.
Yeah. Go on. Do you want to start with diving into you?
Diving in. Okay, so just like a quick family history, I guess. So all of my, as far back as I'm aware, my family is from Cyprus, and we're Greek Cypriot. So I was born and raised in the UK, so was my mum. My dad and his parents, and beyond my dad, were all born and raised in Cyprus. And my mum's mum and dad were also raised in Cyprus. Backstory, both of my grandparents from both sides actually knew each other from very young. So they came from basically the same area within Cyprus,
Really?
which I think is really sweet. Yeah, they've known each other for years. And then my dad met my mum at a wedding in London, and he just, back in that day, it was very, not organised, but, if someone had said, oh, I fancy him, that was that. The parents would set up a meal, your mum would go home, and then all of a sudden there's just this man sat at the table, and she's like, oh gosh, I know exactly what this is about. They're trying to set me up, type of thing. So apparently they only had a few dates, and then that was it. So yeah, my mum's only ever been with my dad.
That's crazy that your grandparents knew each other, but your parents met in London, of all places, at a wedding. But in London, why in London? Like,
it was his brother got married in London.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, but were your parents in Cyprus, living in Cyprus at the time, or were they?
No, because my mum was born and raised here, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mum used to go over, obviously, to Cyprus a lot, but for whatever reason, they didn't really cross paths with the kids, but the parents knew each other very well. So, yeah, that's my family background. So my parents are still together. My mum's only ever been with my dad. It's really sweet.
That is cute.
It's always been instilled in me, in my family anyway, like, marriage is for life. It's not something that you give up on easily. I've got one sibling, he's an older brother. He's just recently had his own daughter, who is an angel.
So cute.
One of my little highlights of last year was I became godmother to his baby, so that's been really sweet. And yeah, that in a nutshell is my family life. My mum and dad live less than a mile away from our family home. And then my mum's brother and his family, so my auntie and uncle, they also live within that 1 mile radius, which is a very. If anyone's ever watched Big Fat Greek Wedding, how the houses were next door with the parents, right? It's not quite that, but it's very similar to that. So yeah, it's very traditional. Yeah, that's
so
my
cute.
upbringing.
Mine is my dad is Egyptian, and my mum is from Southport, where I currently live. And so my parents my dad's parents, this is a funny story. So my dad's dad was a bit of a boy about town. And he was really well connected to the royal family in Egypt. And I can't remember what they're called, like the Farouk or whatever. Anyway, so he was like quite well connected, and he would travel around Egypt, and he was just, you know, living his best life. He had this car from the royal family that he would just drive around in, and you know, he was just living his best life.
I'd love someone to just give me a car.
I know.
Hint, hint. If any subscribers want to just give me a car, feel free.
So he was, you know, loving life until my dad's mum's mum, so my great grandma, thought, oh, hang on, he would be really well suited for my daughter. And this is no word of a lie, this is what happened. So she went downstairs, they lived in an apartment, and this is the story I've got from my dad anyway, so if I might get a little bit wrong, but they lived in an apartment. The neighbour to them was a witch.
Oh gosh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my great grandma went to her and said, I want my daughter to be with this man. Can you help me? And she said, okay, invite them round for dinner and buy a box of chocolates and get your daughter, so my grandma, to give him, my granddad, offer him the first chocolate and they'll be married.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what she did. This is not even a lie. So she invited them round, chocolate scenario happened, everything. And then from that point on, they ended up getting married. Yeah, how weird's that?
That's giving witchcraft.
It is so weird. But
That's
apparently
creepy.
this woman was, like, she could levitate stuff and everything. I don't know if anyone believes in that stuff, but apparently she was the real deal.
Wow.
Yeah. So then that happened, so they got married. And then they had my dad and his brother, and then I think it was 1956, they actually got kicked out and ended up coming to Southport. They went a few places first, but ended up in Southport.
Okay.
And then my dad ended up finding my mum, and yeah, they had me, my twin, my older sister, and my brother. And then they got divorced, and my mum has had 2 more children. And my dad was going out with someone at the time who had 3 children as well. So we kind of grew up with them as well as my little sisters. So there's a lot of us. So
big, nice, big family, yeah.
yeah, it was crazy in our house. Crazy.
I can imagine. Gosh, I mean, my sensory overload in that house would not be okay.
No, honestly, it was a lot.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
It was intense. There was just kids everywhere all the time. There was people in people's wardrobes. There was, your personal space did not exist. It just did not exist at all. But I actually really liked it. Obviously, some days you were like, okay, I just want my own space. But most of the time, it was great.
Yeah, especially when you're young and you have people to play with. My brother, oh my gosh, so when I was growing up, my brother would obviously, it was this typical house where the boy gets the racing cars and the Scalextrics and all the rest of it. And on my days off from school, I would run up and grab his Scalextrics because I just really wanted to play with them. Really? I thought they were so cool. But I'd try and do it secretively because I was like, this is a boy's toy. And I'd try and set it up. And, funnily enough, because he was not very good with sharing, he never used to complain about me playing with it, but he would always comment on how crap my Scalextric setup was. He'd be like, you didn't put enough turns, you didn't put enough levitation so it goes up and down. But I remember that so well, yeah. And I used to obviously have I used to be obsessed with Barbies, oh my God. I think I played with Barbies up until I was about 12 years old, I definitely surpassed the age that you're supposed to. Writing, but yeah, I just loved my Barbie.
But when we were little, we would play with stuff like that.
Yeah, because we didn't have iPads. And
yeah,
stuff
we had nothing. I remember I used to be obsessed with Mary Kate and Ashley, and I think it's because I had a twin as well.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with Mary Kate.
But
and Ashley.
they were the ones growing up. Didn't you just want to be them and have their life? Yeah.
So obsessed to the point, right? My mum, for some reason, just wouldn't. She would buy us the Mary Kate and Ashley clothes from Asda because Asda used to do them.
A collection, yeah.
Yeah. So we had everything from Asda, but she wouldn't buy us toys and stuff. And I remember going round to a friend's house. And they were twins, you know who they are. And they had everything, Mary Kate and Ashley too. And I remember stealing a little doll from their house and taking it home. And my mum was like, where have you got that from? And I was like, I got it from their house. And did they give it you? And I was like, yeah. I was so obsessed and I wanted it so bad that I thought, oh, they won't know they've got everything. I'll just take, I remember it was that big, a little mini, I think it was Mary Kate or Ashley, and I was and then I just held on to it forever. Yeah.
And do you still have it to this day?
No, I don't know where it went. Okay. I'm sure they asked me a while later, have you seen such and such? I was like, no. Sorry,
no,
what?
I've never seen it since that time we played with it. That's weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I was so obsessed with him.
Yeah.
But in our house, we just had. I just remember being outside all the time, and
Yeah.
our garden was half built. So half of the garden had bricks and like all building materials, and we would make stuff out of the bricks. So we would make like a mini school one day, and we would like all go to class, and my older sister would be the teacher, and we'd have to like go to school and like do break
Yeah.
time. But we would make things within this like all these buildings. It was probably so dangerous, but yeah.
Sounds fun though.
Yeah, childhood was fun.
Fun period of time.
Yeah.
Do you have like a nice story from your childhood?
I don't know if it's. I don't know. I've got a funny story. Well,
Yeah.
I think it's quite funny. But so one day, I got lost years ago when I was a baby on a beach, and there was thousands of people on the beach. I think it was in Marbella. So my mum always said to me, if you get lost, you've just got to stay put. So I was like, right, okay. So that was ingrained in me that I had to stay put if I ever got lost. So we went to Centre Parks one weekend or for a week, I don't know what. And have you ever been to Centre Parks?
Yeah.
So we were in the one where there's like a village outside, not the one with the dome.
Right, okay.
So we were in the village outside, and all of a sudden I get lost. So I was like, right, I'm just going to stay put.
Okay. Well done for remembering that
Yeah.
at that age. I would
Stayed put for 6 hours.
What?
6 hours. No, honestly.
Sorry, I'm crying.
And people kept coming up to me like, you okay? I was like, yeah, I'm fine, because I got to stay put. I literally didn't want to move. I was like,
Just stay still.
it probably wasn't 6. It was probably about 4 hours. But they obviously went about their day and probably weren't that concerned.
There were that many kids in
There
the
was that
family
many
that they
kids,
didn't realise
honestly.
you were there.
They probably weren't that concerned. And then they got concerned. And after a while started looking for me and was like, okay, we need to find her. And when they eventually found me, they were like, we have been looking everywhere. And I was like, but I stayed put. I stayed in the spot though, so where else have you been looking? Because I stayed in the spot.
And it's like, I did my job,
Yeah.
why didn't you do yours?
And then they were like, I remember them being like, oh, well done, like bigging me up because I stayed put. But I was like, you literally just had to come back to where you lost me. And like, this would have been over hours ago.
They
Anyway.
clearly didn't remember where they lost you. It probably
Yeah.
took them hours to realise you were there.
Yeah, but I remember thinking like, what is taking them so long? Because I'm literally here.
That's so cute.
Yeah.
You were like, but I stayed put. That's adorable.
Yeah.
But do you remember like going food shopping with your mum and you know if you lost her in the aisle, that dread, that feeling, and you'd be running up and down the aisle and you're like, oh my God.
That was the worst. But we actually, so my twin and I were in Woolworths. Remember Woolworths?
Yeah.
This episode's really giving our age away.
Woolworths was the place. Like, do you remember going to Woolworths and you had to buy the actual CD? But it was
What CD?
you know when an artist brings
Oh,
out
right,
their
okay,
CD,
yeah.
right? And you would take me personally, you would take out the back sheets, you know, and it would open like a
yeah.
pamphlet, and it would have extra pictures of the artist
Yes.
and like little blurbs and whatnot. I'm like, I used to like dote
Live
on
for
those
that,
things,
yeah.
but it was a full-on activity. Like
Yeah.
you'd be like, Mum, Britney Spears' thing is coming out. Like we have to get it this week. It comes out on Monday. Can we go on Monday? Can we go on Monday? And you'd go on Monday and it'd be sold out. So then you'd have to go on like Wednesday to get it, and then you'd play it in your car for like 27 months.
Yeah, literally. But what would you do now? Like, what do you go to the shop for with your kids now?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that was a whole experience. Remember
It was.
Blockbusters?
Oh my gosh.
Blockbusters,
I
that
loved
was the...
this.
We used to get barred from Blockbusters because we never used to give the videos back.
Oh
And
my
it's the
God.
same with the library. We just had stacks and stacks and stacks of library books because we just forget to bring them back. But what I was going to say about Woolworths is once we lost our dad in Woolworths, me and my sister, my twin. And so we were like, oh, there he is. So we started following him around the shop and out the shop and everything. Turns out it wasn't him. Because he turned round and I remember me and my sister looked at each other like, shit, we're so lost. Like, we're out the shop in the town and everything, and we were only little. So we went back in the shop, and I don't know how we must have found it, but he was so angry at us. He was like, where have you been? We were like, but we were following you.
Oh my God, different
Oh,
human
yeah.
entirely.
That was a horrible day because we got so shouted at.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Oh my God. I
But-
remember I have this one childhood memory in my previous like family home when we were young. And bear in mind, like the way the household is set up is my dad runs his own business, but it's in the food industry. So back then he used to close at like midnight, and he'd work 6 or 7 nights a week, days a week, sorry, even. So basically my dad wasn't home very much at all. We didn't really notice at the time because we were so young. But to set the scene, me and my brother were watching TV in the living room. It must have been winter because it was extremely dark outside. So I don't really have an understanding of what time it was, but it was after school and it was pitch black outside. Now, we were so engrossed with what we were watching, and all of a sudden I just turn around and I'm like, Mum's not here. Mum's not home. Mum is not home. And at this point I'm about 4 or 5 and my brother's only 3 years older than me. So I think my brother starts crying, and therefore I start crying because I was like, oh my God, they've left us. No one cares about us. Because at that point you don't really understand what's going on. Like, so you just think, your immediate thought is, I've been left and they're never coming back. And somehow we managed to use the phone, which, by the way, at this point was plugged into the wall, like one of those phones that you pick up. And we managed to call my auntie and uncle, who only lived about 2 miles away from us. I'm actually really proud of us for doing that. So we called my Uncle Paul, and we're like, Mum's left us, and no one's home, and it's dark, and they're never coming back, they don't love us anymore. And my uncle's like, well, calm down, I'm sure she hasn't. Da, 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 da. But at the time, they didn't have mobiles, so he couldn't even call her to be like, yo, like, what's going on? Anyway, long story short, he comes to our house, knocks on the door. I don't even know how we managed to open the front door, because at that point we were so young, I don't think we could even reach the doorknob. But anyway, he comes in. Next thing you know, my mum comes in from the back garden, and my mum's like, oh, hi, brother, how are you doing? And he's like, the kids called because they said that you'd left them. And she's like, what are they talking about? She goes, I came in whilst you were watching TV to tell you I'm going in the garden to fix something in the garden. Oh. But obviously it was pitch black outside, so we were like, why on earth would she be outside?
Oh my God.
Maybe this is where like you get
abandonment issues from. Yeah.
Maybe, but yeah, I remember that so well. But the takeaway from it is my mum was pretty angry at the time. She was like, why on earth would you assume that I'd left you, first of all? Like, all I ever do is feed you, love you, bath you, take you to school. Like, I am constantly here. My mum was a constant in my life. She was always there for us, still is to this day. But then actually at the end, she was really proud of us for making that phone call. She was like, well done, at least you didn't call the police on this case. But yeah, that was really funny, I know.
When you said about your old house, it reminded me of a story that when I was little, we had some goldfish.
Yeah.
And this was in our old house. And our old house was absolutely tiny. And we had this little kitchen, and it was a bowl, probably the size of that bowl. Not big. It had 4 goldfish in, one for me, one for my brother, one for my older sister, and one for my twin. And we called them our favourite Teletubby.
Oh, cute, yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to play with my fish.
Oh, God, no.
So I got a chair, and I got on the chair, and I went to like get it out, and obviously it flew out. And it started like wobbling on the floor. So I just ran out and started watching TV or like whatever. And then my mum must have come in and was like, why is there a goldfish dead on the floor? Like, who has done this? But because I didn't want my goldfish to die.
You just said it was
I didn't admit that it was me because I wanted my goldfish to still be alive. So I just like pretended that it wasn't me, and I still had my goldfish. I think April must have lost it. Someone else lost it, but I was like, no, I'm keeping my goldfish.
And that goldfish is mine. So the goldfish that remained was forever called the wrong name from that point forwards.
Yeah.
What did you call your one?
I think mine was Poe, the red one.
I loved Poe. Poe was my favourite. This is really bringing back like old school memories. Do you remember like Ed, and Eddie, and Nickelodeon?
I remember Nickelodeon. I don't remember.
Do you remember Ed, and Eddie with the blank?
Is that Nickelodeon?
Yeah, it was one of the programs.
See, I was more of Disney. Yeah. I feel like you were either Disney or Nickelodeon.
Oh, I loved Nickelodeon because I had an older brother, so he'd always put like, Fairly Odd Grandparents.
Fairly Odd Grandparents.
Godparents?
What's the other one? That weird, the one with the striped pants. What was his name? And he was on CBeebies. And he had black hair. He was a cartoon.
I don't know, but I'm thinking of Recess right now.
Oh, Recess?
Recess was also great.
The Rugrats.
Rugrats was amazing.
Oh,
Although
Tracy Beaker.
Tracy, oh my God, Tracy Beaker, yeah, I lived on that.
I used to love Tracy Beaker. Oh my God.
I know, I love old school memories. So, okay, what did you used to think you were going to be when you grew up?
oh, I still think I'm going to be a pop star.
Still to this day, she's like, I haven't let go of this one.
So when I was younger, I really wanted to be a vet. And then that turned into a doctor. And my dad was like, yes, she's 5 and she wants to be a doctor. I've literally won the jackpot here.
Winning.
So he bought me like as many cool doctor books as possible. And they were cool. Like, I've still got a few. And then when my parents got divorced, I actually started writing. Like, I found like notebooks of me just writing. And then we always had a piano, so I then started like messing about with the piano.
Yeah.
I was never good at piano. Like, I had lessons, but I could never like get in the swing of it.
Yeah.
But I just started messing about, and then I managed to like write songs. So I managed to take my writing with the keys, and I started writing songs, and I loved it so much that I was like, do you know what? I'm gonna be a pop star.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be. And I used to be obsessed with Britney Spears. Funny you mentioned her, because I know you were too. I used to be obsessed with Britney Spears, and I was like, I am going to be a #1 recording artist. I'm going to live in LA. I'm going to travel the world. I'm going to be like this huge world.
I'm going to be on billboards. I'm going to have my own.
Yeah. I even went to uni to study it. And even now I write. I have like so many songs just saved in my phone and stuff. Yeah. But I don't know. I think another side of me being a perfectionist, and I also got knocked back a lot when I was at uni and doing auditions and stuff. I got knocked back a lot because I didn't have enough confidence. So like there was a girl band that came out, they're not around anymore, but I got to the last stages. I don't think I told you this. I got to the very, very last stages of this girl band. One of them ended up being in EastEnders. I can't even remember the name of them now. And the reason I didn't get it was because of my confidence.
Aww.
Yeah.
Hannah's got an incredible singing voice, by the way. We used to live together in London for just under a year, and she had the room, like the top floor room, and every so often, very rarely, by the way, she used to sing in her room, and I could obviously hear downstairs, and I used to literally switch off my music so I could listen. Really? Because I've always loved your voice, and I've always said to you, can you please release something or at least send it to me so I can have it on my phone, because I would listen to it on Spotify. But she's got, honestly, I'm not just saying this because she's my best friend, but she's got a voice of an angel, and it's when you do like your riffs and stuff, you've just got this lovely, is it a rift?
Yeah, riff.
A riff?
Yeah.
Not a rift.
No, it might be a rift. I mean, I don't know. I'm not good at terminology. I'm not good at what's the stuff you have to do for music.
Like reading the actual thing.
I cannot be arsed with that shit. Yeah. But I went to uni, and I thought going to this uni, I would come out as a pop star.
Yeah.
I was just so naive. Like I didn't really know what it took to do it.
Yeah.
So I went, thought I'm going to be a pop star, and my uni experience was just horrendous. I hated every minute of it. And so that kind of really got me down. And then I hit 21 and I thought, that's it, it's over for me. Because I also thought, well, if you're not a pop star by 21, then you that's it, it's over. Obviously, this was way before, and social media was a thing at this point, but it's way before like independent artists. Well, there were independent artists, but I didn't know about all that. I was so naive to the whole music industry. You just thought,
I'm going to go to uni and I'm going to get signed, basically. Yeah.
And so my confidence got completely knocked. And then I got into the world of work to support me living my life. And then it just took a back burner. Yeah. And now I'm 31.
31 with a child?
With a child. And
but we can still do, you definitely should do music. Me for one, I would 100% listen to your music. I'll get you all the views you need. Listens even.
Well, I do think though, in this day and age, you can still pursue whatever you want to do at any age because of social media, and also because I feel like none of us look our age. Like I look at some 40-year-olds, I'm like, what, you're 40? You still look in your 20s. Yeah. So like that also helps in certain ways. So I do think there's hope for us all.
Hope for us all.
But yeah, what did you want to be when you grow up?
This is really embarrassing for me. But I've said this story a few times to a few different people. But when I was young, and I mean young, like in my first house, when I was like 5, I used to think that when I grew up, I was going to be Britney Spears. Like, not like her. I just thought if I willed it enough, and if I told God enough, like, I want to be Britney Spears, then therefore I would just be her.
You would turn into her?
I would turn, like, she would not cease to exist, but I would be her.
It's Britney, bitch.
It's Britney, bitch. And I used to, oh my gosh, this is so lame, I'm just going to say it anyway.
Oh,
so,
baby.
I used to have a double bed, right? Because my room technically was like the guest room if ever there was guests over. Like I was the one who'd get kicked out of the room, but for that reason I was the one who had the double bedroom. But at the time, our back garden backed onto the other person's back garden, and so I used to see the two back gardens together as my audience, right? I'm fucking empty because, you know, it's grass. But I had this massive window which was in front of the bed, so I used to use the bed as the stage. Okay, I used to peel back the curtains like they would if I was on a show. Yeah, I used to put my disco light on to set the scene, and I used to play. This is so embarrassing. Why am I saying this? I used to play Britney, and I used to dance. I used to use my bed as a stage, and that was,
You're
you know,
making me a bit emotional now. Because do you know why you're making me emotional? Because first of all, we were friends at that point, but if we had hung out, we would have had the best Britney Spears shows ever. We would have just, like, we would have turned into Britney Spears together, right, A. But B, this morning I saw my son, right?
Yeah.
Because it's funny you say that, because it's role play, isn't it, at the end of the
Yeah.
day? But at when you're that age, in your mind, anything is possible. Like, you can just imagine anything, and it's just the most amazing feeling, because at that point you just, like I said in a previous episode, life hasn't knocked you down yet. So it's just an amazing experience to be that age and feel like anything is possible.
Anything's achievable,
and I was looking at my son this morning, and he was in the mirror. Like, I had put this little hat on him, and he's like, I'm going to go and look at myself in the mirror. So he goes and looks at himself in the mirror, and he starts, like, dancing and trying to sing Bob Marley. And I was looking at him like, the world is your oyster, baby. Like, you can be Bob Marley if you want to be Bob Marley. And he's just like...
But who knows? Like, maybe, you know, your passion for your music career will end up going into him. Like, maybe he'll grow up and want his music career. You don't know.
I know.
And then you've got the
Experience
background and the know-how
yeah.
of, like, you know, I don't want you to do what I did, which was not put myself forward. And maybe he's going to be your little...
I know. Well, he is already, like...
Your budding...
Yeah.
Your, you know...
The
New World Bob Marley.
Yeah.
New World Bob Marley?
The
Does that work?
Bob Marley reincarnated into Ziggy.
By the way, he is obsessed with Bob Marley. So when
God.
we're in the TV room, he will just come in and how does he say it?
Right, it's funny you say this and bring this up. He goes, "Could you be low?" Or
He goes, could you be low?
Yeah, could you be
be
low?
low? And he points at the TV. Could you be low?
Yeah,
could
which
you be
means
low?
could you be loved? And at nursery the other day, they go, he keeps saying this word, and we think it might be chocolate. And I was like, what does it sound like? And she goes, chocolate. And I was like, is it Could You Be Loved? And she's like, yeah. I was like, he's asking for Could You Be Loved by Bob Marley.
Oh, cute.
And she's like, well, he says it all day. Like, he's asking for it all day.
Yeah, because he asks to listen to it all day.
All
He's
day.
obsessed.
Yeah, he's obsessed. But it's funny you say that, because, so you thought you were going to be Britney Spears?
Yeah, and I thought I was going to be this massive singer that everybody loved and adored. And, you know, lo and behold, I work for an insurance company.
That's so crazy. We had the same, like...
But I think maybe because, like, back then there weren't, you know, 1,000,001 artists. Like, Britney in our time was...
Oh my gosh, she was it.
She was number one.
Yeah.
Like, she was everything. Like, I just absolutely adored her. I mean, I used to, if ever there was a magazine, I used to cut out every picture of her, and I had my own scrapbook, which was just full of images of Britney Spears.
Really?
It's actually really creepy now I'm thinking about it out loud.
No, it's not.
And I used to have, like, posters of her on my wall. I mean, I was just, absolutely, I just adored the bones of her. I just adored her.
I remember I loved her so much too that I would try and sing like her, but obviously she's very like, like that kind of thing. Oh, baby. And I remember like singing, and some girl at school took the piss out of me. She's like, you sound like Britney Spears. And I was like,
good, that's what I wanted.
Yeah, but she was doing it as like a...
Yeah, she was being mean, yeah.
Yeah, she was being mean. And I remember to this day, I took that so to heart, because I thought I was going to be a singer, and this was my first criticism. So I was like, shit, maybe I'm a really bad singer and I can't sing. And so for literally like 3 years, I held on to that criticism and thought about it all the time. So I was like, I can't do it. I've already been criticised. But it's crazy, because I used to sing to, so I'd get the CD and I would sing with a mic over the CD. And I remember Leona Lewis. I was obsessed with Leona Lewis and the X Factor. But I used to replay her CD all the time, and that is the only reason I managed to get to top notes, because before Leona Lewis I feel like I had a bit of an average voice, But then Leona Lewis took me to the next level. Like,
because you practiced this higher, yeah.
I would
her
go through
range
her,
is unbelievable.
I would go through her whole CD, every single song, over and over. I could spend all day doing it, just practicing the notes until I got them, and I was like, yeah, watch out, Leona Lewis.
Watch out, watch your space.
Yeah, so
I think you should still do it. I mean, at this point, it's kind of like, what have you got to lose?
exactly. I remember thinking at 25, like, should I start again? And that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So imagine if I did it then. And I think that's the same. Like, I speak to so many people that still have dreams, goals, aspirations, but it's like, why aren't we doing them? I don't know. I ask myself that all the time. Like, I gave myself a time limit to release music and do this and do that, and then a month goes by and I'm like, whoa, where the hell is that time gone? Especially when you have kids as well, because time just goes so fast and you don't get a minute to yourself. And when you do get a minute to yourself, the last thing you want to do is work, because you're like, I need to just take a breather for 5 minutes. But then if you don't work, then you're behind and you're never going to get anything done. So yeah,
Watch this space. I think
Watch this
we're going to
space.
implement this year.
yeah. But
You know what? It just, if anything, oh my gosh, I've just thought of a really cute idea. If anything, you should make your son a lullaby,
yeah,
bare minimum.
yeah.
That'd be so cute.
I did make him a song to be like, just relax, when he gets all worked up.
Just relax.
Yeah.
Please relax.
Calm down. But if I do that, then you have to do your art.
Oh yeah, yeah. I really do enjoy my drawing, but I find it so hard to find the inspiration of what to draw. Like, seeing that blank piece of paper for me, it's so overwhelming. I'm sure like anybody else who's creative will feel the same. It's like kind of the same as you looking at a blank piece of paper thinking, what should I
Where
write
to
for this
start?
song? Where do I
Yeah.
start?
Well,
Yeah.
if anyone has then any
Any
ideas
suggestions
for
for
you,
portraits? Because one of my bingo things for this year to tick off is draw a portrait. I haven't written who it's going to be of, but yeah, if anyone has any suggestions, let me know.
but Angela's artwork is insane. Have you still got them on your Instagram?
They are on my Instagram. They're not that, like, see, now the more I look at them, they're not that good. And also because I've not practiced since then, I feel like now my skill will be less.
No, they're amazing.
I need to just get back into
They
it.
are insane. If anyone wants personal portraits, she's your girl.
Hit me up.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like childhood to now is such a massive, such a massive time has passed. And to think back to the time when you wanted to be whoever you thought you could be.
Yeah.
Like, those were the best times ever. And I do feel like society, sorry, we weren't going to get deep in this podcast, but I do feel like society just, like, fuck society, do you know what I mean? I'm like, all these pressures are put on you.
Yeah.
And I feel like the school we went to, there was so much pressure for us to be like a doctor, a lawyer, this, that. Like,
yeah, they kind of only looked after the people that wanted, you know, those what would you call them?
White collar
like
jobs in
literally
London.
lawyer, doctor,
Solicitor.
accountant. They really looked after those
Yeah.
people, I felt, and then anything else in between, it was very like.
Yeah, I felt as a child who really wanted to do music, really unsupported. And my dad was working all the time. Like, he would put us to bed and then go back out to work. My mum, when my parents divorced, like, we didn't really have, well, she had her 2 kids and her husband, and she was getting on with that life, which was great. But then I felt like, if you're going to be a singer, or if you're going to do something that you want to do, your parents really have to try and nurture that. And I felt
From a young age,
I felt very alone in it. And I also felt like, is this an acceptable job, especially going to the school we went to? Could I be honest about this is what I want to do?
This is what I actually want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely felt like when I was hitting time to leave school that I didn't have the confidence to say to my teachers what I actually wanted to do, because I felt like if I don't say doctor, it's not the right answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That is so crazy, because school is supposed to nurture you and support you in anything you want to do. But I really feel like in that aspect, our school kind of failed us.
Yeah, that's another one for another day.
Yeah. But we're here doing something creative anyway.
I know, I love this for us.
Yeah.
Rapid fire.
Oh, okay.
Let's get to know your hosts quickly.
Okay.
Favourite meal?
A pasta bake with extra cheese on top.
Hell yes.
It's so cozy and homely.
Oh, I love a pasta bake.
What about you?
Mine's going to have to be moussaka.
Talk me through moussaka again.
Moussaka is, layers of potato, aubergine, courgette, minced layer in the middle, kind of similar to like lasagna, then potato, courgette, aubergine again, and bechamel sauce on top.
Ooh.
Bake it in the oven. I'm not going to lie, if you're going to do it the right way, it does take me about 3 hours, but it's the
really?
one Greek dish that I'm quite confident in making because my mum's always cooked in our house. My mum cooks 7 days a week.
Wait, I've been friends with you for like 26 years and I've never had your moussaka.
Apologies, it's so good, I don't want to share it. It takes that long that you're kind of like this with it, like you
Yeah.
actually don't want to share it because it takes so long to make, and it's normal. It's like part and parcel that if you're making moussaka, you're going to have it for 2 days, and I make like a huge pan of
portion.
it. And you have it with like a side of salad or whatever you want with it. But
that
I
sounds
just
so
absolutely love
nice.
it. But anything baked, I do love baked food, like nice and
Yeah.
hot and
A lasagna. Do
full
you know
of
what?
lasagna. I
I
love
might make a
lasagna.
lasagna. Fuck it. I hate
Fuck it.
I'm gonna make a lasagna and put my foot down. No, I hate cooking, but I have come a bit like you because I think in the Greek world or the
Yeah.
Greek, what am I trying to say?
I don't know, society.
Society. Thank you. In the Greek society, it's very food orientated.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And
Food is the love language,
yeah,
like.
and same with me in the Jewish world.
Yeah.
It's very food orientated, but I hate cooking. And the reason I hate cooking is because it's so time consuming and I could be doing like everything else other than cooking. I feel like it comes last on my list.
Yeah.
Whereas my whole family, it's like first on their list. I'm like, why is my brain so different?
Wired
Where I'm
differently.
happy to just eat toast every night because I can't be arsed cooking. But I might make a lasagna.
I know, I'm craving one actually this week.
Yeah.
Okay, back to the rapid fire.
Sorry.
We just digress. Like the digression is real. Night in or night out?
Oh my God, a night in.
Me too.
Really?
Night in, I've changed
No.
my mind. Yeah, don't get me wrong, I love getting dressed up every so often. Like I want to feel, pretty and glamorous and stuff. But I've hit a point now where I'm like, I can't be bothered.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to do it every so often, like 3 times a year. But yeah, like a nice dress up to go to like a nice restaurant,
Yeah,
something,
but
someone's
I'm
birthday,
very
whatever.
shocked
fine,
with that
but-
answer from you, Angela.
I know,
because
if you'd have asked me 6 months ago, different
yeah,
answer.
Angela has been on the town
Since I was like, 17?
literally.
Literally.
And I feel like that's where we're like polar opposites because
Yeah.
my dad, so my twin is also like on the town. She's just out, thriving, surviving, loving life. I've always been like, I'm just going to stay in. Like, it's never really like grabbed my attention that much. And my dad actually sat me down when I was about 17 or 18 and he was like, you're missing life.
Oh, bless
I was like, what do you
him.
mean? He's like, because you don't go out and I'm worried about you.
Aw.
And I just felt like saying,
But I don't
can't
like
be
it.
arsed with my shoes sticking to the floor. I can't be arsed with men because do you know I don't know if it's the same now, but when we went clubbing, it was guaranteed that when you were waiting in line, someone would grab your arse.
What? I don't remember this. I do have a horrendous memory though. Backstory.
Angela, that would have happened to you on a regular basis.
I don't remember
It definitely didn't just happen to me. Whenever I was waiting in line, some guy would just grab my arse.
That's really bad.
Yeah. And I'd turn around and be like, I won't
Can you not?
have the confidence to open my mouth, but I'd turn around and be like, what are you fucking doing that for?" And
No, I
yeah,
don't
do you not
remember
remember
this.
that? So I was like, yeah, A, B, I can't be arsed with that. And C, like by 1 o'clock I'm ready to go home anyway, and then I just have to wait.
I've got to that point now where I'm like, I like leaving early,
Yeah,
like,
but from the
and I've got some
point-
friends that want to stay in the club until the lights come on, and I'm like, can we go now?
Yeah, but do you not think though, from that point you want to go home until waiting for your friends to go home is the
horrendous.
worst.
The worst.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
the worst. I remember once being in the club, right, and some guy, I'm not going to say his name, but it was a very famous footballer. And I was in the club and I was so over this night out, so over it. And my friends were having the time of their lives. And I was just sat and this guy comes over to me, he's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. He's like, are you going to smile? And I literally looked him up and down and I was like, okay, he's dressed head to toe in Gucci. At this point, I thought it was fake Gucci. I was like, who is this fucking guy harassing me? I just want to go home. It's like 3 hours until I know they're going to be done. And I just need to be on my own. And just, like, just take this all in because I'm about to have the next worst 3 hours of my life. And this guy's
And I've
walking
got
around
this
to me.
guy walking up to me in a fake Gucci, telling me to smile.
Literally, and I was just like, I'm done. But I had to wait until they were finished. It was
And
just
so did you
horrendous.
realise after the night out that he was actually a famous
Yeah.
footballer? That's so funny.
Yeah. But I've always been a stay at home. And now when I have Ziggy, I actually, when Ziggy first arrived, and I've always obviously been I always like staying in. So I thought, okay, my life's not going to change that much, but it changed so much that I would want to be out all the time because,
Oh, right, yeah.
because I would dread A, being on my own with Ziggy, and B, I would dread the sun coming down. I'd get like an anxiety attack because the nights were so hard. And I just wanted to be anywhere but in.
Yeah.
I would fill my time with other people
Other
and
stuff,
Ziggy
yeah.
because I was like, at least I have support with someone
Yeah.
else. Whereas now, like, I'm slowly getting back.
Getting used to it now.
Another question.
Favourite quote?
Favourite quote is, I've forgotten it. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. It depends what you're willing to do to get to it.
That's cute.
Yeah. And I made
like
that up myself. Because the reason...
You should, what's it called? Get that, patented or whatever.
Yeah.
That one was a good one.
Do you know what? The reason I made that quote up is because everyone always says there's a light at the
Hannah's
end
so
of the tunnel.
funny, by the way. This is supposed to be rapid fire.
Sorry.
Continue.
I'm a talker, can you tell? Because everyone always says there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I remember going through a really dark phase of my life that we're not going to get into that because then we won't get on to the next question. But I was like, where is this light that people keep talking about?
Where is it
going to come? And then I realised through, again, I won't talk about it, but I realised through working on yourself or doing things that are going to help you, that's when you get to the light.
To it, yeah.
It doesn't just
So
come
it does,
to
yeah.
you.
It does exist, but yeah,
It
you've got to get
exists.
there.
You've got to work to get to it. So, yeah, what's your favourite quote?
Yeah. I'm going to have to reference my granddad here because this is a family quote. But he always, whenever we're feeling like we don't really know what we're doing or anything like that, he always says to all of us, he always says, you're as good as any, but better than most. And I'm like, oh. And he also has a Greek accent, so it's just super cute when he says it.
That is so cute. It's funny when you say, when we don't know what we're doing. Because this week, I've already had like 3 career changes in my head. Literally.
Oh my gosh, love that. Right, I think we should finish off with our quote.
Oh yeah.
We haven't done our quote of the week.
I wonder what quote will come out of there because...
I wonder if it's going to reference.
Yeah.
I think it's your turn to...
Okay, I'm really going to...
Oh.
I just really need to get involved in this and just feel...
Give the bowl some energy.
This one. Okay.
Come on.
Oh, I've got 2.
Ooh.
This one. Okay, the camera can eat first. Is that the right way up? Yeah.
Oh, I think they can see it, but yeah.
Your direction is more important than your speed.
Ah, that's
Your
cute.
direction is more important than your speed. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Be on the right path and you'll get there.
Yeah, in the end. It's like
Absolutely.
the tortoise and the...
Oh yeah, the hare and the
hare,
tortoise.
yeah. Honestly, that is so true. But then I'm like, okay, but if I'm in the right direction, then I've been 10 years now. You know, give me a bit of speed. But no, I like that.
That's a really cute one. I love that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, if you liked this podcast, I feel like I could have talked for like another hour. But if you liked this podcast, please like, comment, subscribe. I know we said it at the start, but it means the world to us.
It does mean the world to us and it makes a difference. So we really appreciate it and we hope you enjoyed today. I enjoyed today. I had a right little giggle.
Yeah. I learned loads about you that I didn't know in all those 26 years we knew each other.
I know, mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah. Love you loads.
Bye.